The drinking was crazy, but we just wake up the next morning and shake it off and go for it.
Yeah, we'd sit in a hotel room, sit on the bed or on each other's bed, and throw the beer in the back of the TV so you could blow the TV up first.
The pressures of being on the road and performing and recording, you know, started getting to the band, and of course they started partying and doing things to try to cope with it and deal with it.
If there ever was a rock and roll phoenix that rose from the ashes, lynyrd skynyrd is it. This band has endured unthinkable pain and suffering.
It is hard. It's very, very difficult, very complicated, more so than rock and roll probably should have to be.
At age 16, Ronnie Van Zant stepped up to the plate on this baseball diamond, and with one swing, he got lynyrd skynyrd off to a hard-hitting start.
Myself and Bob Burns, our original drummer, and Ronnie Van Zant, we were playing baseball, and we were watching, and on the third baseline, and he got up to bat, and he hit a foul ball real hard, hit Bob Burns right in the temple and knocked him out. And so he ran over and went, "I killed a guy, I killed him." And that's how we met, really.
His family says Ronnie could talk anyone into anything, so they weren't surprised when he convinced his baseball buddies, including guitarist Alan Collins, to form a band. Struggling to make the dream come true, the band played local bars and high school dances. As a joke, they decided to name themselves after the most notorious teacher in Jacksonville.
I'm the real lynyrd skynyrd.
After numerous run-ins with Coach Skinner, the band members dropped out of school to dedicate all their time to music. Lynyrd skynyrd was discovered and signed a deal with MCA Records.
It was real scary. We were kids still. We were only like 18, Alan and myself, 18 or 19, and we didn't know much. And it was scary, and people were telling us what to do.
The band released its first album in November 1973. Although pronounced Lynyrd skynyrd was a hit, the group wasn't taken seriously until critics got a chance to see them live, when they performed as the opening act for The Who.
We started out on tour with The Who in '73, on Quadrophenia tour. And we had like a 30-minute shot. And we're told that no groups have ever opened for The Who in concert, or that didn't get booed off stage. And supposedly we were the first band to ever open for The Who, and we got good response.
Critics were saying that lynyrd skynyrd blew The Who away. That's when we realized we had done our job.
We had crowds standing up and responding very well to us, but the thing was, that's when we started drinking, because we were terrified to go up and perform for The Who. The problem was we never stopped.
For the band, the journey from playing garages to sold-out arenas was a fairy tale. But being asked to open for the Rolling Stones in '76 was their wildest dream come true.
Little Georgia honky tonk.
We tried to blow their doors off.
I was cutting the plug down at a place called the Jug with a girl named Linda Lou.
I keep expecting to get a call from Mick Jagger because I say, you know, on camera that we blew the Rolling Stones off stage.
While lynyrd skynyrd was reaching a professional peak, the band members' personal lives were spiraling downward. Drunken brawls were making headlines around the world.
There was that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde syndrome once the alcohol kicked in, and that goes for a lot of us. And those are the only times we ever got beat up. Now, all the other fights we won.
We literally were kicked out of every hotel in London.
Part of that act included alcohol-induced fights between band members, usually instigated by Ronnie Van Zant.
They hit me once, and just a lucky punch, I guess. He knocked my first 4 teeth out, my front 4 teeth, and so I had to have a 4-piece bridge built.
Lynyrd skynyrd's violent behavior and alcohol abuse signaled a rough road ahead. On Labor Day weekend of 1976, both Alan Collins and Gary Rossington were seriously hurt in separate accidents. Both had been drinking.
Oh, I just, got drunk one night and pilled out.
Gary's accident was the inspiration for the song, That Smell.
Whiskey bottle, brand new car, oak tree in my way.
I got in a wreck. I hit an oak tree on a curve, and you know, I think I did some quaaludes, which is, you know, it says it in the song, and it's just a true story about what happened to a crazy guy, which was me one night.
We were getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's about
On the afternoon of Thursday, October 20th, everyone is flying high from a week of sold-out shows. Family members accompany the band to the airport in Greenville, South Carolina, as the group heads to its next concert in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. As the band is preparing to board the plane, the pilot discovers engine trouble, but assures the 24 passengers it's safe to get on. Everyone isn't so confident.
Alan didn't want to because the plane had been sputtering and one engine was bad, and Ronnie just went, oh, if it's your time to go, it's your time, let's go. So he got on, so we just all kind of got on.
Our wives, everybody got scared. Everybody was afraid for us to get on this thing, but we got on anyway because we didn't know better.
The twin-engine plane takes off around 5 p.m. Band members are starting to relax by playing poker, like they did so many times before, as seen in these rare home movies. When the sun begins to set, it finally feels like a routine flight. Everyone is joking around and laughing. But just before 6 p.m., 80 miles outside Baton Rouge, the pilot radios air traffic control that he's low on fuel. As he prepares to make an emergency landing at a small airfield, the right engine stalls out.
Fire's coming out, which scared everybody to death right then and there.
I could see in the pilot and co-pilot, I could see in their eyes there was fear.
While trying to shift the remaining fuel to the one working engine, the pilot panics and accidentally dumps it. A moment later, the second engine shuts down.
It got real quiet, and all we heard was air, wind. And co-pilot came back and said, get in your seat. Tell everybody to get in these right now. We're crashing.
The pilot attempts a belly landing on the edge of a swamp 2 miles outside Gillsburg, Mississippi. But the plane is falling too fast. It begins clipping treetops.
I told Billy that we were going to crash. I went around and played stewardess. I asked everybody to buckle their seat belts, to put their cigarettes out, to turn off any lights, conserve power.
We just kind of all looked at each other and went down.
Everybody was sitting down kind of praying, you know, just real silently, just being like, oh, God, no, don't take my life, you know, and stuff. And then I remember my heart was like, and I thought it was my heart attack. And I was just watching the pine trees get bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden, crack. You could hear the crackling at first. And then the initial impact was very violent, very sudden.
The plane crashes into the swamp. On impact, it shatters into 3 pieces. Passengers are violently thrown from their seats.
It felt like being in a solid steel garbage can, rolling down a hill, being hit with 100 baseball bats in the head, body, ankles, you name it.
And I was hurt real bad and broke all my bones and was laying there and looking around at people dying or dead, like Vietnam War or something.
Although he's injured, drummer Artemis Pyle manages to crawl from the wreckage and run for help.
With his ribs sticking out of him, out of his chest, he went uphill, over barbed wire fences, in the woods, almost completely dark now, and 2 foot of swamp muck. We're waiting for alligators and snakes to come down on us.
I walked to the farmhouse to bring help back to the crash site. My friends were bleeding to death. Every second counted.
Rescue workers have to carry the victims through a mile of swampland. Waiting helicopters and ambulances transport the injured to local hospitals. Band leader Ronnie Van Zant dies on impact.
Ronnie was catapulted when the cockpit buckled under, and he didn't have a single scratch on him. He hit a tree with his head, had a massive head wound, and that was what killed him instantly.
Also killed on impact, the pilot, co-pilot, assistant road manager Dean Kilpatrick, and guitarist Steve Gaines. Steve's sister backup singer Cassie Gaines bleeds to death before help can arrive.
Cassie Gaines died in my arms, and Artemis Pyle's arms too. We're both holding her. She was...
The sheer devastation of the scene shocked everyone, including local residents who witnessed the crash.
My wife and I were out sitting in our backyard, and we heard this plane come over, which it sounded like it was running on one engine. And then all of a sudden I heard that engine go out.
It was just a disaster to me. I've never seen anything like it. And it just hit me hard.
WJXT reporter Tom Wills flew in from Lynyrd Skynyrd's hometown of Jacksonville.
Up there, sitting against the tree, is a piece of an airplane wing, torn away from the rest of the airplane. Lying down there at the base of the tree is the engine. And that back there, that twisted metal back there, is the fuselage of the plane, which sort of was turned around a corner.
It was so shocking to realize that in this seat, somebody died, and in this seat, didn't even get hurt. And there were still things, personal possessions, that were scattered around the ground. I mean, you got an understanding of what a calamity a plane crash is, and how sudden, and how brutal, and how inexplicable.
Lynyrd Skynyrd. Will there be a Lynyrd Skynyrd after this? I don't think so.
Having put the turbulent past behind them, the 90s signaled a resurgence for Lynyrd Skynyrd. New songs, new albums, and finally a new drug-free existence.
We have a new beginning happening for us right now because everybody in this band is straightening their act out.
This is the best lineup. I mean, as far as like people getting along with each other and writing songs and stuff.
And it's like the dream came true all over again. And there's not many people that I know in this world that can have two dreams come true.
One of the obstacles that had kept Lynyrd Skynyrd from reforming was the fear that no one could live up to the image of Ronnie Van Zant. They knew any frontman they hired would be unfairly compared to him.
So won't you give me 3 steps, give me 3 steps to miss, give me 3 steps towards the door. Give me 3 steps, give me 3 steps to miss, and never see you no more.
But the band needed to look no further than the home where it all began. Who better to replace their legendary leader than his little brother Johnny?
It was Johnny Van Zant, Ronnie's little brother, and he looked like him and sounded like him and was him. I had to talk to my brother Donnie, of course, my mom and dad, you know, because I didn't really want to do anything that would hurt the name of Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Johnny was just 16 when the big brother he idolized was killed. To this day, singing Ronnie's music is Johnny's way of paying tribute to his hero.
Whenever I'm playing, you know, he's definitely, you know, part of me. His spirit's with me, you know. So if that's a way of him, you know, coming through me or whatever, then